Hey, everybody, welcome to Thursday night. John Skiba here from the Consumer Warrior YouTube channel, like we do each and every Thursday night, where we do a live Q&A. Oh, we got some kind of technical difficulties going on here. All right, hopefully you guys can hear me now. Um, see if All right, I don't know if everybody can hear me now. Maybe if somebody can give me a thumbs up. Okay, Karen, I see that you're telling me there. We were there. Okay. If the sound's okay, we'll go ahead. I was getting some feedback here that was making this very, very difficult to do. But if everybody can give me a thumbs up, sounds like we're good. We're getting that in the show, in the chat section there. So, going back to if this is your first time here, I'm John Skiba, founder of the Consumer Warrior YouTube channel. Been doing this a long time. I'm a bankruptcy attorney and a consumer debt attorney in the state of Arizona, and I help people who are dealing with some pretty serious debt issues. And what I like to do on Thursday nights is really have this live Q&A where we can talk about all things debt related. I do a ton of videos. We put out videos almost every day on my YouTube channel that deal with bankruptcy, defending debt collection lawsuits, those types of things. And so, but sometimes, just having some guidance of me pointing you in the right direction can help you, particularly if you're representing yourself in these types of things. Now, I am a licensed attorney in Arizona. I'm not licensed anywhere else, so you can't take this as legal advice. This is just some guy talking on YouTube, so take it for what it's worth. I do have a lot of great resources of people who sponsor the weekly live stream. I put those in the chat section. You'll see that we have the Consumer Warrior University. Those are the tutorials I put together that help with things like drafting an answer to a debt collection lawsuit, compelling private arbitration, disclosure statements, responding to summary judgment. Even I have one like on how to handle a trial on your own. So those are some resources you can check out. And then I also have our great partner, Solo Suit. Um, Many of you have probably seen some of the videos I've done with Solo Suit before with their co-founder, George Simon. So Solo Suit uses technology in a way that's really cool to help with things like drafting answers, even debt settlement, compelling arbitration. Go ahead and check that out with their link. And then one of our newest sponsors of our weekly live stream is Ascend Finance. And something they do that's really cool is they put together these free calculators that answer questions about whether you qualify for bankruptcy. We talk a lot about Chapter 7 bankruptcy, whether you qualify for it based upon income, uh, those types of things. This is one of those things where you can go there, click on it, and it walks you through exactly whether you'll qualify for or not, or if you have to do a Chapter 13. The Chapter 13 is something that help you determine how much the plan payment is. So with all of that out of the way, how we do this, if you have a question, go ahead, put it in the chat section. I'll put it up here on the screen and we'll talk about it. So I had a couple of questions from the comment section of the page that I thought might be beneficial. And these were all bankruptcy related. I've done a lot of bankruptcy questions from a lot of bankruptcy videos. You may have seen I've just did a 7-part series on a deep dive into Chapter 7 bankruptcy, getting ready to do one on Chapter 13 bankruptcy as well. But I mentioned in the video that back when I first started filing bankruptcies, my first bankruptcy case I think I filed in 2004. So it's been a little over 20 years since I started doing that. And it used to be about a 45-page document, and now it is. The typical Chapter 7 is about 100 pages. And you may be asking yourself, what the world is in that 100 pages? And that's what this person said is, what are they asking for that needs 100 pages worth of documents? And the thing that they want a ton of information. They want information on income, monthly expenses, your creditors, obviously, mortgage, taxes, child support, student loans, credit cards, personal loans, medical bills. They ask for different things about your assets, personal assets like your house, cars, household belongings, household items, bank accounts, retirement accounts. There's a whole section called the Statement of Financial Affairs. This is the SOFA. This is the document where we have to list a lot of financial transactions. We have to list your income over the last couple of years. So they keep just piling these things on, and they being the government, the United States trustee, all these entities that work together to get this information. And so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of information that's needed. But that's the kind of stuff you can expect if you're looking to file bankruptcy, whether it's Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. Those are the types of things that you're going to have to include in there. This person asks, as it relates to bankruptcy, this person's getting a little bit clever. They said, so if I pay off my car with my credit card, I can keep the car and still wipe the slate clean in bankruptcy? Okay. Here's the issue that you're going to run in with there. So, and the idea behind this, the backdrop to it, is in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, secured debts with has collateral or property attached to it, like a home loan or a car loan. Those debts are typically not discharged. They're not eliminated in bankruptcy. You have to continue to make your car payment if you want to keep the car. If you want to keep your house, you got to keep making the house payment. But unsecured debt, like credit card debt, can go away completely. It's usually discharged through the process. And so this person's getting a little bit tricky, saying, "Well, what if I went and I owed 5,000 on my car? I paid off the car with the credit card, car's owned free and clear, and then I include the debt on my credit card in the bankruptcy, and it's discharged. Can I do that?" And so the question is, I guess the question may be not, can you do that, but should you do that? Yeah, you could probably do that. You could probably pay off the car with the credit card. If you filed the bankruptcy, it would then go away. One issue you're going to deal with is that the vehicle is paid for. Depending on how much it's worth, it may not be exempt. There's certain exemptions that protect your belongings. Like, for example, in Arizona, you can have up to $15,000 of equity in a vehicle. If you have more than that, if you pay it off, you may lose it. The court could sell it, give you your 15 grand, and then anything above and beyond that, give to your creditors. Something like this, though, where you're kind of trying to game the system, I would not recommend you do that. I caution people, and I kind of jokingly say, a little tongue in cheek, saying, look, you're not the first person to go through this process. In fact, about 1 million people a year in the United States go through bankruptcy. They know all the tricks, they know all the issues, and if you're kind of trying to play the system a bit, it's something where you could run yourself into trouble with the bankruptcy court, with creditors, and just can cause all kinds of problems. So before you do anything like that, if you're filing bankruptcy, and I highly recommend you use an attorney, talk to an attorney who could help you to understand, kind of which way to go on that. And I can tell you that if you're in the state of Arizona, I didn't mention this, I do free consultations. I'll put a little link here in the notes that has my link that you can click on to schedule a consultation and talk with me about your situation. So, all right, let's see here. Let's jump into some of the questions that. Thank you. I don't know if that's Prof New. Thank you for doing that. Let's talk about your question here. It says, if you put liquid money in an IRA and just pay the 6% IRS penalty for over contributions, if you did say 9 months before the creditor sues you, can they get that money? Arizona, Florida, Texas. So the question you ask is a good one, because it is possible, and we're doing this right on the heels of a man. This is not a smooth Thursday night for me. So. I'm answering this question on the heels of, can you pay off your car with a credit card and then discharge that? That is likely not going to end it well for you. Something like pre-bankruptcy, what we call exemption planning, where you're turning non-exempt assets into exempt assets within reason, is permissible and frankly can be malpractice for an attorney not to talk to you about it. So, for example, in a situation like this, if you have cash, in most states, cash itself is not totally exempt, there's no exemption for just big stacks of cash. However, if the money is in a retirement account like a 401k or an IRA, it is exempt. And in most states, there's no limit to that. In Arizona, there's no limit to that. And so if you contribute, so if you have cash in this situation, you put it into an IRA, um, you could file bankruptcy and it couldn't be touched. And not only that, if the creditor sues you, this is non-bankruptcy, you're outside of the bankruptcy process, and the money in your IRA, assuming that there's a state or a federal exemption that protects it, which there is in every state that protects the IRA, you're going to be fine. They're not going to be able to come after that or pursue it. So um, I think that having money in, if it's something where you're worried about creditors coming in and sweeping accounts, putting money into an IRA or 401k is a good place because it's exempt. Usually in bank accounts, it's not. Money market accounts, it's not. So those are the kinds of things you need to be careful with. So, all right. See, Ghetto Daddy says, "Hey, Big John from Texas here. IRS agents showed up at his apartment over a $200,000 debt that he owes, and he's not sure what to do since bankruptcy won't work to get rid of the debt. Should he do an offer in compromise?" Offer in compromise, when you get over $100,000 in tax debt, this has always seemed a little bit weird to me. The IRS doesn't really offer payment plans for that high of tax debt. If you're under $100,000, sometimes they'll offer the self-pay uh, settlement plans where you can just make the payments over time. But once the tax gets over $100,000, you're looking more at an offer in compromise. The offer in compromise is where you're submitting a proposal based upon a formula and a criteria that they have, where they will take a discount, either a payment over time or in a lump sum, to eliminate the tax debt. Now, there are specific forms for it. It's lengthy. I've done offering compromises with the IRS. It's something I recommend you get a CPA or a tax attorney to help you with if you're going to do it, because it can be complex and it's a ton of work. It'll take over your life. So you can do that. You also may want to talk to a bankruptcy attorney and see if the taxes truly are non-dischargeable. There's a myth out there that all taxes don't go away in bankruptcy. However, if the taxes are at least 3 years old, if you filed a tax return for the year that it was owed, and they haven't assessed the tax to you in the last 240 days, the tax is likely going to be discharged. As long as they don't have a lien, as long as it's not secured, then it may go away in the bankruptcy altogether. So that may be something to take a look at. Is have an attorney look at it and go through the tax transcripts. You get these transcripts on the IRS's website. You go to irs.gov. You can download that and really see kind of how old they are. As long as it's at least 3 years, then you could look at bankruptcy. If it's not, if it's over 100,000, offer and compromise would be the way to go. So, all right, let's see here. Candace says Wells Fargo Bank won't take less than $5,000 for an $8,500 credit card. Is this good? Can't go bankrupt due to too much crypto. Crypto is, yeah, that's an asset you lose in a bankruptcy. I've talked about this before. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, stuff like that. One of the hallmarks of it is that it's more difficult to trace. But all the major wallets that hold crypto, um, they work with the United States Trustee's Office to make sure that that gets disclosed. So if you have crypto and you're filing for bankruptcy, 100% I recommend you need to disclose that, or otherwise you could run into problems. So if you're looking to settle a debt, so if Wells Fargo still has the account, and Wells Fargo often keeps their debt, they often don't transfer it to third parties, then I would recommend you can do the settlement like you're doing here. And is that a good amount? Let me get my calculator. It's always dangerous to do math while we're live streaming. But so you're looking there about a 58% settlement. Yes, I think that's not a bad offer. Anytime you're dealing with an original creditor, not a junk debt buyer, I always say anything 50 to 70% is probably where you're going to get. And if you're doing that in a lump sum, maybe you can get them to come down a little bit more. If you're doing it over a payment plan, that would probably be fine. I would just make sure that there is no interest that continues to accrue on that to get that done. So, as a professor, prof. There we go. Sorry about that. All right, let's see here. We got any more? Okay, let's do this. So in here, I do. Says I want to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, but how will it affect me if I start a business and open business credit lines, etc.? So if you're looking, so I guess it depends on if you're saying if you need to file bankruptcy now, how's it going to affect you going forward? The biggest issue is going to be the lending early on. Now, most people, the Chapter 7 bankruptcy is going to stay on your personal credit report for 10 years. Shows up in the public records section of your credit report, and it's going to it'll impact lending, particularly early on. Most people's credit score and their ability to lend completely recovers within about 2 years. Like FHA, VA, they'll do regular mortgage loans 2 years after a Chapter 7. Some lenders are 3. But I mean, I've seen credit cards, car loans, those kind of things are available almost immediately and within that 1 to 2 year period. So if you're looking to open a business, it's not gonna cause a problem early on. It will, cause as far as lending, you're not gonna be able to get those credit cards in that and probably until about that 18 months to 2 years after the, Chapter 7, bankruptcy is complete. So, all right, let me ask this question. This is a good one. I get this one quite a bit. Uh, if you need to file bankruptcy, they said, "What if you don't have money for a bankruptcy lawyer?" Um, it is possible to file bankruptcies on your own. There are people who do it. I'm seeing fewer and fewer. I saw a lot back in the old, the prior recession in 2008. Like I said, kind of that 45-page document being a 100-page document is getting more complicated. There's more information. Bankruptcy trustees, at least here in Arizona, I'm seeing them get more aggressive, trying to go after different assets. And so I recommend you use an attorney, but it's always what I've called the bankruptcy paradox. You're at the most difficult financial period of your life, and you're wanting to know how am I going to hire an attorney to make this work. And one great thing is that the rules, at least in some states, in Arizona, they've changed. It used to be with a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, they required you to pay the full balance of the attorney's fees, the court's filing fee in full before we could actually file your bankruptcy case with the court. Again, it made no sense to me. Legally it makes sense, but just the big structure of things it didn't. And the reason why they did that is because technically any agreements that you entered into prior to filing bankruptcy, they're discharged. So if you signed a representation agreement with an attorney before you filed your bankruptcy and say, "Hey, I'm going to pay you over the next 6 months or whatever," you file bankruptcy, that your legal obligation to pay on that contract goes away. And as you might understand, bankruptcy attorneys didn't like that they would end up doing the case essentially for free because that was discharged. Then came along what we call bifurcated fee agreements. This is a zero down bankruptcies. And these are what I do in my practice in Arizona when it comes to Chapter 7s. We don't require any attorney's fees up front, but then we allow the attorney's fees to be paid in 12 payments over after the bankruptcy case is filed. And we don't even require any payments to be made until 30 days after the bankruptcy case is filed. And the reason why we can do that is because the courts are allowing the attorneys to, again, bifurcate or split into the representation agreement. Essentially, you sign a representation agreement that covers the work leading up to the filing of your case. And then once the case is filed, you enter into a new agreement where you cover the rest of the work associated with your case, and it sets up the payment plan. That way, the attorneys get paid for their work that they put into the case, both before and after it. So that makes it so that it's a lot better. It's been a ton better for clients. I know there was a lot of concern you saw in the debtors bar, the creditors bar, the judges. I haven't seen it be a big issue, period, for anybody. Sometimes I think we do that, particularly in the law. We just work ourselves up over all these things about the sky is falling kind of thing, and it's not a big deal. It's helped people to be able to get the relief they need, particularly if you're facing like wage garnishment or something like that. You can get your Chapter 7 filed, get that stopped, and then deal with the attorney's fee side of it down the road. So, all right, I think we're going to call it quits. It's been a rough go right from the get-go. We're having technical problems. I'm losing my voice here. But I appreciate everybody checking in tonight. If you have any other questions, put them in the comments below. I do look at them, and I will address them a little bit later tonight. And with that being said, we'll catch